the power of not reacting. In a small village at the foot of a mountain lived a young man named Taro, known for his impulsive nature. Whenever something upset him, his anger would erupt like an uncontrollable fire, burning away his peace and pushing others away. One day, tired of suffering from his own reactions, Taro decided to visit Master Hashin, a Zen teacher who lived in a nearby temple. He longed to learn how to master his mind and find serenity. When he arrived, the master welcomed him with a calm smile and said, "True strength does not lie in reacting to every gust of wind, but in being like the tree that stands firm and silent. Do you wish to learn the art of not reacting?" Taro nodded, his heart filled with hope. The master invited him to sit by the temple's pond and gaze into the clear water. "Look at the water," Hashin said. "When a stone falls in, the surface ripples, but soon it returns to stillness. You too can be like the water." Taro watched the pond quietly. Though the words were simple, he felt a seed of understanding had been planted deep within him. In the days that followed, Taro returned to the temple each morning to sit by the pond and practice stillness. At first, every thought that disturbed his mind felt like a stone thrown into the water, creating waves of anxiety, anger, or sadness. But little by little, something began to change. When he stopped clinging to the stone, his anger or fear, the ripples faded more quickly. The water returned to its natural state, calm and clear. Master Hashin then taught him a simple exercise. When you feel an emotion trying to pull you in, breathe and observe it without judgment. Don't identify with it, just let it pass, like a cloud drifting through the sky. Taro practiced with dedication, and though it was difficult at first not to react, he began to notice more space between the stimulus and his response. "Is this the power of not reacting?" Taro asked one evening. "It's more than power," the master replied. "It's freedom from being a prisoner of your own emotions." One day, while Taro was walking through the village market, someone accidentally spilled a basket of fruit all over him. In the past, his anger would have erupted like a volcano, shouting, blaming, reacting. But this time, he remembered the master's words. He took a deep breath and simply observed the moment. He saw the person rushing and clearly embarrassed, and instead of reacting, he offered a calm, gentle smile. The market fell silent, surprised by his serenity. And within Taro, a quiet peace blossomed, unlike anything he had ever felt before. When he returned to the temple, Master Hashin greeted him with a knowing smile. "You've taken the first step in mastering the inner storm," he said. "The power of not reacting is the power to choose your own peace." Taro realized then that controlling emotions wasn't about suppressing them. It was about not being carried away by them. Master Hashin invited Taro to take a walk through the forest near the temple. Among the tall trees and the whispering wind, he spoke in a slow, steady voice. "Emotions are like the seasons. They come and go. We cannot stop the rain or hasten the spring, but we can learn to live with them without letting them rule us." Taro watched how fallen leaves gathered on the ground, slowly breaking down and nourishing the earth, preparing it for new blossoms to grow. When you don't react, when you don't fight the emotion, it doesn't mean you ignore it. It means you acknowledge it, accept it, and let it pass without allowing it to control you. At that moment, a gentle breeze lifted a leaf into the air. It danced freely, spinning in silence, until it gently settled on the ground. "That is how your mind should be," said Hashin, "free to observe without clinging or resisting." That night, Taro meditated under the soft glow of the moon. He recalled the times when his emotions had swept him away, causing pain both to himself and to others. He realized that every impulsive reaction was like lighting a fire that burned away his inner peace. When he opened his eyes, he felt a new clarity. True power doesn't lie in extinguishing the outer flames, but in not allowing the inner fire to be stirred by every spark. The next day, he returned to Master Hashin and said calmly, "I want to learn how not to react, to find stillness in the heart of the storm." Hashin nodded and replied, "Stillness is not the absence of the storm, but the presence of your center, no matter the chaos around you." Over time, Taro began to apply what he had learned not only in moments of anger, but also in the face of sadness, fear, and anxiety. It wasn't about denying his emotions, it was about observing them without being ruled by them. One afternoon, a neighbor arrived at the temple, venting about injustices and personal troubles. In the past, Taro would have reacted with outrage or jumped to defend himself. But now he simply listened in silence. Instead of responding with emotion, he spoke with calm presence. "I understand your pain. Let time and patience do their work. In the meantime, breathe, observe, and don't let the storm carry you away." The neighbor grew quiet, and Taro realized that by not reacting impulsively, he was offering a place of refuge, both for himself and for others. The power of not reacting had become a bridge to compassion and wisdom. One morning, as the sun began to paint the mountains in gold, Master Hashin gathered his disciples and said, "True mastery is not about controlling others, but about mastering yourself. The power of not reacting is the key that opens the door to inner freedom." Taro, now calmer and more centered, understood that this freedom wasn't some distant destination. It was a daily practice. Each emotion was an invitation to return to the present, to observe without judgment, to become like the clear water of the pond. With a quiet smile, he gave thanks to the master and to the path he had walked. And so, in the stillness of his mind, he found the peace he had always been seeking. Years passed, and Taro, the young man who was once a slave to his emotions, became a beacon of serenity for many. He wasn't the wisest or the strongest, but his inner peace shone softly, like the gentle glow of a lamp in the dark. He no longer lived at the temple, but every morning he walked to the pond where it all began. There, in silence, he would watch the sky's reflection on the water, remembering that a calm mind also reflects reality clearly. Many came to him with questions. "Master, how do I control my anger? Master, what do I do with my sadness?" And he always answered with the same calmness. "Don't fight the emotion. Observe it. Stay with yourself. Don't react. Be like the sky that lets the clouds pass by." His students listened quietly, learning that it wasn't about suppressing feelings but about not identifying with them, about creating space between what happens and the response you choose to give. One afternoon, a student asked him, "So, Master, the power of not reacting, is it giving up feeling?" Taro smiled gently. "No, it's feeling everything, but from the center, without losing yourself. It's like watching the rain while knowing the sun is still shining behind the clouds." That night, as the wind whispered through the trees, Taro meditated once again. Inside, there was no conflict, only presence, only silence, and with full certainty, he understood that the greatest act of strength wasn't raising a sword or raising your voice, but looking within yourself and choosing peace.